Hello there, beautiful souls and beautiful humans. How are you doing? Rosanna Rosie Glow Hannes here today. Super excited to see you. I was thinking that this is a little out of balance. Interesting on a day which is all about balance as we come into the equinox. Yes, you are in the right place. For those of you who don't know me, I am a galactic healer, teacher, psychic. I also work with awakening star seeds to guide and mentor them to live on this earth with their gifts and to share their beautiful talents as we co-create this new earth paradigm by clearing and detoxing our early life influences so we can remember the special gifts we are already masters in and share them with this world. And I'm also here as a co-creatress of Paradise Earth, this channel manifesting StarPeace Utopia or co-creating StarPeace Utopia is all about each of us activating through the power of our imagination our very own idea of a paradise for all and our own personal paradise, because we're individual and we are collective. This is the paradox of the equinox energy. And twice a year, we get to see this paradox and play with it in a way that is all about the balance of the shadow and the light. And in today's update, I'm going to be sharing with you the insights and downloads that have been coming to me to support you to be able to shift wherever you are in your world and have your aha moments, your breakthroughs, as divine grace gets channeled through me as Rosie Glow, and to receive the codes of your own activation. This is my joy, my pleasure, my service. And it is something for us to celebrate on a day where lots of wonderful things are occurring. It is St. Patrick's Day. In the UK, this is celebrated. So there'll be loads of people going down to drink down the pub. And there'll be others that choose not to do that and to celebrate in other ways. But we can download the luck of the Irish today and really work with the magic that is available to each of us as we see between the worlds of the seen and the unseen, and also look into the new moon in Aries. Now we've got 2 new moons in Aries this year, which is phenomenal. And this is really an expression of the energy of a fresh start and all of the support to actually start getting done those things that we've been promising ourselves we're going to do, but have kept putting off. So if you're new to me as I speak, what I'm going to be doing is giving you the opportunity to write notes, to consider what I'm saying. I'm going to ask you a few questions and then let you know some of the things that I'm up to in the next week to really work with the beauty of the energies available and to invite you to join me. So without any further ado, let us dive in. What is this equinox energy all about? Well, I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, and so this is the time when we're coming into spring. The days are going to get much lighter, and for those who are in the Southern Hemisphere, it's all about to start going into the underworld as we go into winter. Now, the most important thing is to consider that at this present time, we're going to start to really see activated, especially with the new moon in Aries coming along, and then the next new moon to make sure as many seeds sprout as possible. The seeds that we did intend back with the New Year intentions of the start of the Gregorian calendar 2023 this year, and also what would have been the December solstice. So whether that was your winter or your summer solstice, this is the time for those of us in the winter months that we go, all right, it is the start of a new natural year. We're going to move into a whole new phase where we're actually going to let the composting happen that is required of the old year so we can give birth to the new year. And back on the 7th of January, I held a workshop, a physical in-person workshop, which was all about claiming your self-mastery and fulfilling your divine destiny. So the question I have to ask you first and foremost, before we go anywhere else, is what seeds did you plant? Now, maybe what you did was you worked with some New Year intentions or New Year resolutions. How are you getting on with those? Have you stuck to them or not? How long did you stick to them? How many times have you got back on the wagon if you've fallen off it? And if you did actually take a little bit more time to work clearly with heart intentions, what were the seeds you planted for yourself? What was important for you to actually see come into fruition as we move through winter and we compost that which isn't aligned with our dreams and our desires? And then as we make way for spring and summer, we start to see the fruits of our labor actually starting to ripen and to fall from the tree so we can enjoy and experience the fulfillment of our desires, our hopes and our dreams. Now, to make something manifest, it's not just about hoping, wishing, praying, right? There is a process that is required to be followed. Now, part of my excitement and in this channeling of this frequency, rosy glow, which is my soul frequency, I've come to understand that rosy glow is a galactic consciousness. Okay, so that means there's a whole galaxy that is the rosy glow galaxy. I'm going to relate this to the James Webb Telescope and the fact that very, very recently, on the 14th of March, which is actually the anniversary of my mother's birth date, she's 14 years non-physical now, but on that day, there were images published of a dying star becoming a supernova. Now, this is very relevant to the energies of this particular equinox because we are evolving in consciousness as awakening humans, okay, as divine humans, awakening to the fact that we're not just here from this earth. We are stardust made manifest. We are consciousness that exists well beyond our human bodies. We are eternal beings that are destined to reunite with the divine, with source, all that is. So part of what's happening at the moment is we are widening our perspective. We're learning that there's more to what we thought life is. We're learning more about different constellations. We're learning more about galactic consciousness. And if you haven't yet checked out the videos that I have shared in the last week about galactic consciousness, I've got a beautiful interview with Sarah Davis, who's a galactic astrologer. It's on the YouTube channel. You can check it out and you'll see it was only made last week. And also I made another video about how galactic consciousness can really support us to fulfill our soul mission and work out why we're here, and get real guidance on how to create the most graceful, easy and joyful experience of sharing our gifts with this world. In relation to rosy glow, in relation to StarPeace and this idea of a utopia, what came through to me back in 2020 at the winter solstice, and this is still seeding, it's still sprouting. In fact, it hasn't fully bloomed yet because this download that I received was actually the next level of my soul mission, should I choose to accept it. And it was to transmit the StarPeace code to this earth and to bring the message to this earth to as many people who are ready to hear it as possible, every which way I can think about, that I can enjoy sharing. The idea that in our universe, the light has already won. StarPeace has been declared. Star Wars is over. It is now time for StarPeace. However, if you look on this earth plane, it doesn't really look like it, does it? Still a lot of war, still a lot of suffering, still a lot of struggle, still a lot of lack consciousness. And yet here's where we get to play the game. We get to activate our imagination because it's through the power of our imagination that wonderful things can happen. We trick our physiology into believing something that we didn't know is true. We use the act as if to start to change our vibrational frequency. And as a result of that, our perception filters shift. We start to see the world differently. And because we see the world differently, we start to experience the world differently. And the world becomes different as a result. It's from the inside out rather than the outside in, although both play a part with this equinox energy. So the big deal here when I received the StarPeace message was to firstly accept that I had this new mission if I wanted to accept it. The second thing was to move out of my own way and actually notice the fears, reservations, resistances, doubts that I had in terms of, what, me? Share this message with the world? Who am I to do this? That's not for me. That's someone else's thing to do. No, it's you, Rosy Glow. You're meant to do this. This is your thing. Do it. Okay, maybe I need to get help. It did cross my mind. And I thought, hold on a minute. You always doubt yourself when something big's about to happen. So why don't you go with it? So over the last 2 years, I've been like going through my own winter, shedding skins that no longer serve me, letting go of struggling wherever I'm still struggling and don't realize I am because I keep making excuses for that struggle. We all do that, right? And actually then receiving the next level of information that I'm ready to receive, the next step, as I'm ready, from my guides, my teachers, the Intergalactic Super Federation, which is what the lovely Sarah Davis helped me to understand. They're who come through the StarPeace codes that come through the Divine Grace channel that is Rosy Glow. And they're like the federation of all the galaxies in our universe. So they're different to other federations you've heard about. And it's like the sort of the big supreme council. And this is not about hierarchy. I'm going to explain that in a minute. We have to each own our position and our vibration. It isn't about saying better than or worse than. It's about understanding each being's unique role, because every role is essential. Whatever is your personal pleasure, your joy, your purpose to fully activate and step into is yours. It's no one else's. So it's not about imitating others. It's not about wanting what others have. It's about claiming truly what is yours. And what has come through for me at different layers was, one, being given the information that I'm a galaxy, because that was quite a big thing for my human self to be able to comprehend. And then the other thing that came about was the start of me speaking light language, which again, I had no idea about. And as a result of light language transmissions, my psychic powers have gone through the roof. My intuitive powers have also really got much stronger. The habits that were holding me back have started to shed in a massive way. So, I've become a clearer and a purer channel all along. I've never stopped doing my work. I've never stopped working through the tools I was given to share with others and to practice myself, because we all need to walk our talk on this earth if we are to be leaders, way showers of the new earth paradigm. And we have to also remember that that new world is being created by us through the power of our imagination, at one step at a time. There's a bridge between the old world and the new world. We are all the ones that are creating that bridge. We are the bridge, and we are also those walking the bridge to the new earth, bringing it to us. Deep breath. Anyone who's here, lovely to have you here. Forgot to say, please do subscribe, please do like, please do hit the notification tabs and that all videos bit that says you'll see everything that I do. Because I've noticed they've started to hide the live videos. You have to go along to be able to actually see them. Anyway, I digress. The most exciting thing about the StarPeace mission that I was given is that I started to download these star maps. And what that basically means, and there's a book coming, one of my celebrations is that I've basically pulled my finger out, and in June I'm going to be writing this book. I've decided to book a working holiday, go away with my beloved, and actually just bring it through, because it's time now. It's nearly all downloaded anyway, but it just needs to be put into form and then put into print and in the physical world. So I'm very excited I'm going to be doing that. What is the thing that you are going to be doing that you've been putting off forever? Please do comment and let me know. And the whole thing about these star maps is that they're universal codes. There are so many beautiful people on this world that are learning different disciplines, different modalities. There's a big explosion, for example, in human design. There's galactic astrology. Of course, we've got the age-old astrology, numerology. There's all sorts of healing modalities, whether it's Reiki, theta healing, quantum healing, all sorts of work, right? And obviously, we all are attracted to what is right for us. But what really excites me about these star maps is they're like universal blueprints you can apply over any modality, over anything in the world, this world, and it will allow you to then navigate where you are and where the new earth is that you want to create, how to be in alignment with the principles that will create the new earth. And these are what I teach through my coaching work. And they're also going to be revealed in the book. The StarPeace Star Maps is the book, so I'm very excited that I'll be getting that out soon. Anyone who'd like a copy, just put a comment, StarPeace Star Maps, please, hashtag in the actual comments, and I'll be very glad to let you know when that's out, because it won't be too long now. I digress. Let's come back. So utopia, remember, is all about a conceivable reality, a conceivable paradise, something you believe could be possible, not with a U, but with an EU at the front, means you do believe it could happen rather than an absolutely impossible reality, right? We want to start to work with what we believe is possible, start there, then we can build the bridge to something new. So let's get into the questions that are specific about this equinox to support you to work out where you are in relation to the seeds that you planted back with the last solstice in the new year, and where you want to go and what's in the way. So first thing, what can you now see that you couldn't see before? How does this, well, let's just do that. What can you now see in your world that you couldn't see before? There would have been a lot of struggles that have been going on in the last few months. We've all been challenged. We've been challenging ourselves. So what have you learned now? I gave you the example of where I have justified struggle in my life because I felt there's no other way. And I had to get really sick before I realized I was putting up with so many things that I actually didn't want. Actually, not so many, a few things that I thought there was no way round, but I kept suppressing just how unhappy I was and how much they were stressing me out, because I didn't think there was another option. Also, it was just the way I was used to doing things, right? So discomfort is necessary to preempt change. You have to get really uncomfortable. You have to get fed up before you're actually willing to take a risk, to let things go that you've been attached to for a very long time, and then to bring something in, to open to the new, to the change. Welcome those who are coming. So what can you now see that you could not see before? That's the first question to ask yourself. And then from that, you ask the next question, How does this help you make a decision about where to go next and who with? So, one of the toughest things when we grow and we evolve, I'll say that one more time, then I'll come into that. How does this help you make a decision about where to go next and who with? So, one of the toughest things about growth and change, every time we expand and we grow into the next version of ourselves, is not everyone is going to come with us. Now, if our self-identity is strongly attached to others, those who maybe you've got a community, it might be a cultural community, a religious community, it might be family, it might be a certain friendship group, it might be clients, it might be fans, it might be any number of beings that basically are connected to you through what you do. And your self-identity is tied up with that. And you decide you're going to grow beyond it because it's not feeling genuine and true for you anymore. Not everyone's going to come with you. And as a result of that, you can feel really bad. You can feel guilty. You can feel like somehow you're abandoning others, rejecting others, betraying them even, because you're going your way and it's not going to work for them. They're not going to be happy about it. This is something that's really important to start to take into your awareness, that not everyone is going to come with you, and that's okay. As a way shower, you need to be really true to your own counsel, your own heart, your own truth. You need to really, all of us need to walk our talk. All of us are required to have the integrity within to receive the messaging from our higher guidance and then to act on it. And another element of this is, in the old world, we dominated, in order to feel safe. In the old world, there was a hierarchy. It was do as I say, not do as I do. There's a lot of blind spots. This is one thing that's really being revealed today through this equinox energy, as the light and the dark are in balance, the light and the shadow are in balance. We're starting to see where basically we've been lied to, basically where we're told one thing and actually what seems to be happening is the complete opposite. I'm going to give you 2 examples of that in a moment. And also, we're having what ends up happening as we grow and evolve beyond old systems. So remember, the patriarchal systems, all about suppression, repression, being dominated by external authority, doing as we're told, being fear, controlled through fear. And also basically being told that there's also a fear of the unknown. If you don't do this, you'll go to hell. That's the religious element, right? That has kept us shaking in our boots for a long time. And also, something doesn't exist unless you can prove it, which is what science tried to do for us to overcome religion, but it kind of backfired. Blind faith, no better than I have to prove everything before I see it. It's just, these two are extremes. Now, as we evolve into this new earth, right? One thing we have to be very careful of, it's a beautiful saying, is not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because we're all programmed until we're ready to awaken out of that programming. Every one of us is conditioned in different ways. When we're ready to see more layers of that conditioning, we will see it. And that's the gift of equinox energy. You get to see the light and the dark in equal balance. You're not blinded by the light. You're not getting a huge, huge, huge vista that comes with the summer solstice. Neither are you in the deepest, deepest darkness of your own inner world, where you're releasing that which you know needs to be released and composting. You're in the space where you can see in the balance. This is where I want to be. This is what's in the way. It's really powerful energy. So in our collective, the global collective, we are in a space where we're starting to dream beyond what we know. We're starting to wake up to the fact that what we're told is not the way things are. We're starting to have much less trust in external authority, which is a good thing. But then there's also this very surreptitious thing coming up where good causes are basically being hijacked by not so loving intent, beings of nefarious intent, let's say that, by the forces of darkness that want to keep their stranglehold on a world that has already evolved beyond the slave matrix, the fear matrix, but hasn't yet realized it's free and claimed that freedom because it's too scared to come out of the prison cell. We're so used to being in the prison cell that we're scared of coming out. And that's the gift, again, of this energy, is to see more of what else is out there rather than what we know. So when you come to this in yourself and you go, all right, I want more. I want something different. What can I do with this? Well, in all honesty, what I would say to you with this is you have to accept that from conditioned state, you become basically a rebellious teenager. It's part of the journey. It has to happen. And for most of us who are on a spiritual journey, we have been allowing, well, our inner teen has been the one that's been running the show. Most of us as starseeds, empaths, and light workers have had very tough early lives. We didn't get the kind of nurturing and parenting that we felt we need. Well, we know we needed to thrive. So our inner teen took over. And instead of our inner parents running the show, our inner teen did. And what can end up happening is, as I said, we throw the baby out with the bathwater. We get really hell-bent on rejecting all of the constructs and elements of the old world rather than sifting through and saying, let me take the best, leave the rest. It's like your conditioning. Not all of it is wrong. When you realize you've been conditioned, the rebellious teen element of you will go, fuck all conditioning, right? It's like, no, let's just see. There's a legacy I've inherited here. Some of this conditioning is great. Whatever comes easily to me, I've got some good programs on. Let's do that. Am I got a happy love life? Is it easy for me to receive resource? Do I find that my nervous system is relaxed? Awesome. These are good programs. Let's keep them. Let's not get rid of all of them. So just as we're building the new earth, we're going to take old world constructs. We're going to look at them under the microscope and go, do we need this? Do we not need this? And then we'll take with us the new. So this is where I want to talk about hierarchy. Now, the hierarchy paradigm of old is basically boss at the top, workers, etc., different levels of worker bees, right? Now, in the creation of the new earth, it's slightly different. We have to accept that we have different layers of frequency. We have different layers of consciousness. And depending on where we are in our soul's journey, we're going to be in a different place in terms of those layers. One is not better than the other. It's just about where we are on the journey. So the way that I give the analogy of this is, imagine the beautiful champagne glasses cascading down, right? Source all that is, then the first souls that separated, then the next group of souls that separated, the next group of souls that separated, so on and so forth. And it's true in any situation. You know, I run my own business, for example. I'm the figurehead of that business. I've got people working with me, and then different layers. I've got my clients, and then I've got those who meet me online. So it's different layers of consciousness, different layers of influence, if you like. But if I look at it from this angle, it looks like a top to bottom, right? Whereas if I look at it from a bird's eye view, it's like a concentric circle, right? From the center, working outwards. Now, this is all about perspective, because when we're in the equinox energy, the shadow and the light helps us to define where we want to go next, what is required next for us to receive more of what we want. So we can get caught up in words and semantics, or we can go, right, there is a structure to this universe. It is required to have some form in order to manifest. So for us to have a physical reality, all these different vibrational frequencies exist in harmony. The intention is to have harmony instead of discord. That is the difference between the new earth paradigm, which is the StarPeace codes, which is the unification principles, versus the old world paradigm, which is based on duality, on conflict, on needing basically to struggle in order to grow. Now, there's also a misconception about grace and ease, because we can call in grace and ease every day of the week, call in miracles and magic. It's about making the mundane magical. It's also about recognizing that life isn't all a hop, skip, and a jump. Here on this earth, there are challenges to be faced, just like the process of birth, which I won't go into today. But basically, what ends up happening here is that there is a time when we're required to push through, and there is a time when we can actually just rest, expand, stabilize, and then there's another time when we need to push through again. When we come through this equinox energy, basically we're being given the opportunity to expand our vision. And as we expand our vision, we stabilize. And then with the new moon energy and Aries coming through, we get to push forward again. We get to see where we are, where we want to be, what's in the way, and vroom, go through, right? So this is the key thing that I would like everybody to take from this, is remember not to throw all of your history out. No, I don't even want to say history. Remember not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Remember that not all of your conditioning is bad. Remember that in order to truly understand something and evolve from duality to oneness, which is the gift of where we are now, we're going to need to see something that is a challenge for us from both sides before we can evolve into harmonizing, unifying, resolving, and integrating a next level frequency, which allows us effectively to move up through those champagne glasses. We're going closer and closer into oneness. Now, okay, let's go for the esoteric first, and then I'll ground it for you, and then we'll bring it to a close. So let's use this supernova thing, this James Webb supernova. So I'm laughing because there's lots of connections for me in terms of that name, first of all, also the date that this was published, and also the idea of a dying star. Now, what we say about space and what we know about constellations and space from a sort of scientific point of view, we can prove. There's still a lot of theory, right? There's not a lot that we can say is absolute fact, because as we evolve our consciousness, as we see from a wider perspective, we realize there are things there that we actually hadn't perceived before. So it slightly changes the landscape, or maybe a lot, right? Think about the theory on this earth that governs our evolution. For a very long time, you daren't say anything other than the story of Adam and Eve, or whatever religious creation story existed in our culture, in our community. Then we all bought into Darwin theory, and that's what our whole world is based on. And yet it's an essentially flawed theory that one of my wonderful teachers, Bruce Lipton, has done a lot of work to talk about. And when we actually get to Lamar's theory, we get a different understanding about evolution, which is based on the nervous system rather than survival of the fittest. It's very interesting. Anyway, my point is, a supernova is basically an explosion, from what I've understood, from a dying star. Now, what happens to that supernova? It either becomes a black hole, or it becomes, I wrote it down so I don't get these words wrong. Let me just see if I can actually find it. A neutron star, which is essentially the core essence of what was the star, which was a big star, by the way, I think bigger than our sun in the first place. So it's either going to burst and evolve into a black hole, which, as I'm reading more and more about it, is potentially the start of another universe when we look into theories of the multiverse, or it's going to basically explode and only the very core of it is going to be left, the essence. Either way, you could say evolution, devolution, you could say creation, destruction. Like, it's an interesting thing what happens with this explosion, but it all really comes back to either being reduced to its essential component in the first place, or that seed actually bursting into and creating a whole new paradigm, a new universe. That blows me away. So what determines what? Well, from a perspective of perception being reality, we could say it really does depend on whether we're choosing to learn from the lessons that we're presented with in this earth, or whether we actually want to stay ignorant, whether we actually want to not see what is uncomfortable to see, not work with what is uncomfortable to see. The mirrors keep revealing to us this is something we really need to look at if we want to live a happier, healthier life. But no, it doesn't fit our conditioning, so we're not going to look at it. We're going to push it away until we're forced to look at it, because there's no other way. And even if we get to the end of this life and we're reduced to our divine essence, our divine spark, we will reunite with the divine. And that will be like an unconscious, if you like, reunification. Or we can keep growing. So when we do reach the end of this life, we are evolving into the next version of our being from a point of higher consciousness, from the point of what I would say, conscious evolution, right? Conscious evolution. And that is also about our soul's journey. So welcome those who are joining. Please do say hello. So I love that analogy. And the other one I want to give you is a more earthly one. So, I recently spoke about the fact that I was really excited that Marianne Williamson is running for presidency in the US for 2024. And she's always been a really big influence in my life, someone that's inspired me. Now, some folk have said to me, be careful with that, not necessarily representative of the forces of good that we might think. And I'm taking everything with a pinch of salt, but let's look at it slightly differently. Part of her campaign is free healthcare for all, right, in the US. Obviously, in the US, you have this big issue where, I live in England, by the way, there is no free healthcare. You have to have medical insurance. And actually, it's extortionate, really, what people have to pay for their healthcare, which is really, is it healthcare? It's basically prescription stuff, right? Now, in our country, in the UK, you have got a health service that is government funded, funded by the taxpayer. I'm not going to call it what it is. Let's just call it the GPS, so everyone kind of gets what I'm talking about. And you also have private healthcare if you so choose. Again, though, they're both accessing the very same thing, which is basically, how do I put it? Pharmacology, right? The idea is it's biomechanical system. You take these things off the counter. You just keep taking them and you won't feel the symptoms anymore of your problem. And you might need to have some kind of surgery, etc., etc. Okay, so what I saw, which I was like, okay, this is the next step, but we need to go further than this, was Marianne campaigning for basically free care of the healthy thing for all in the US, which would be a step up from where it is now. But you have the issue that actually it's not really solving the bigger problem, which is we need to evolve our whole concept of healthcare, which is one, what do we put in our bodies? What do we think about? How do we deal with challenges? What about embracing holistic healthcare? What about embracing all the latest developments that have got nothing to do with the archaic system that we think is an evolved medical system, but is actually still very much in the dark ages? We could do so much better. Now, I was quite disappointed by the vision, but I appreciate she has to speak to people at a language that the masses will understand. And my intention would be for her that as people receive that, they can then take it to the next level. And there is an evolution of this care. Now, in our country, here's how it works. There are many, many people, good, law-abiding people that do as they're told, that have tremendous faith in the external authorities, that actually prove to us again and again that they're not really trustworthy and not really run by very healthy beings themselves, psychologically, physically, or emotionally. And how do I put this? In my very home environment, I had an example of this today. My dear husband has a finger issue. It's a trigger finger issue. And he had to go for an appointment because he knows it's going to need operating on. He's had other things done. And at this point, it's one of those things that's going to need to happen. Now, he goes for his GPS appointment, and the GPS consultant, who's a surgeon, said to him, well, before we can do surgery, we're going to need to first give you these jabs in your finger. And my husband was like, absolutely not. No way, not going to happen. I know, I've had them before. They don't do anything. And actually what they do is they make my tendons and ligaments more brittle. I've done the research on it. I don't understand why it's even being recommended. Yes, the surgeon said, you're absolutely right. Yes, I do understand. But the thing is, that's what the GPS recommends. Why does the GPS recommend this? You have to ask the question, right? Why does it recommend you have a symptom relief thing at least twice before you can have the surgery that's going to remedy it? This is a question. And I mean this because I want you, if you're still on the fence and you don't believe that actually the systems are stacked against us, that's part of this evolutionary leap that we need to take at this point for humanity en masse, not to apportion blame, but to go, come on, let's do something different here, right? So basically, the surgeon then says, yes, I know, I don't really understand why, but that's what they recommend. I say, and my husband says, yes, I do. He says, well, if you were a private client, if you were someone that had private healthcare, we'd just go straight to surgery. We wouldn't even do that. So you have to ask the question again, why does the GPS recommend this? Well, who makes money out of it? Follow the money. I remember a very wise soul, Mark Atwood, saying that to me a while ago. Rachel Elner saying that to me a while ago. Both people I know, by the way. I was like, okay, follow the money. Who's benefiting? Remember, I've got no problem with money. I love money. Money can do amazing things in this world. It can also do really bad things in this world. It's determined by the person that has the money, what is going to happen. The money itself is not evil. Get over it. What we do with it, just like energy, just like our power, just like intention, is determining what happens in the future. The power of the equinox. Use your power wisely. Be discerning where you put your energy. So our GPS system likes to fund the systems that keep us not very well and keep us unwell, basically, because those jabs that go in the finger are basically going to make the finger ligaments more brittle. They're going to be more challenged before we can actually have the remedy. Now, that's just a small example of what else happens. And this is not about the wonderful people that are the carers, the beautiful beings that if you do need some kind of help, you're really glad they're there because they're really caring, wonderful beings. This is about those who make the decisions, why they make the decisions, and why they're allowed to make decisions that actually are not really for the benefit of the highest good, never mind the greater good, right? So I'm just giving you that little example because when someone realizes that, maybe you're in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, your 30s, your 20s, when you start to see things are rigged, Maybe you'll learn it in the birthing world when you're pregnant and you discover, why is this suggested when I've read all this other stuff? That's what the guidelines say. Why do the guidelines say that? Well, they do, and that's what we follow. Yeah, but those guidelines are based on very old research that's out of date. Yes, but it takes at least 20 to 30 years for those guidelines to change. Who's benefiting? Never mind. Don't get me started. I'll get quite cross. So, to summarize, this equinox energy is really about us being able to see the wood from the trees, to be discerning, to recognize that it's not about throwing all of the old world away. It's about taking with us, and this is from our old lives as well, not just the world at large, but in our personal lives. Take with you what you have learned. Take with you what has benefited you so far, and then decide what else you actually want. Now, I've got this far, and I've not really said anything at all, which was something I was going to say at the start. Bear with me, about what's on offer, because on Monday I'm going to be offering a free transmission, a light language transmission for the equinox, which will be over on my StarPeace Facebook group. It's a closed group, but I'll put the link in the text box for you. And this group at 5:55 p.m. I'm going to be offering this transmission, which is literally the cosmic fertilizer for the seeds that you planted back at the start of the year, and also with the solstice in December. On Tuesday, this is going to precede something else, which is on Tuesday, I'm going to be running the masterclass in the evening for those who want to join me for a small fee, which is going to be less than if you pay on the day. So again, the link is there in the text box for you to make the most of. On Tuesday evening, 7:30 p.m. GMT. So both the times are GMT, just so you know, that's UK time. And what I'm going to be doing with that masterclass is looking at 3 practical tools that you can use. 1, to shift your mindset, which is, the neuro pathways. 2, the energetic clearing that is required. And 3, the physical clearing that is required to allow you to be recession proof. That means your bank balance, your love life, your health, all aspects of your being. How can you tap into eternal flow, thriving rather than surviving? That's what it's all going to be about. Okay, so you can join me for that. Text box will tell you all that that's about. And if you want a longer time with me, bearing in mind I don't really do a lot of physical stuff these days. I stay in the non-physical realm for the most part because I like being in my own little utopia. Basically, I'm going to be hosting a really beautiful, amazing retreat on the paradise island of Santorini. And it's not far away. It's in May 2023, not 24, 1st to the 6th of May, between Beltane, the 1st of May, and the full moon in Scorpio. So it's 6-day, 5-night retreat. I'm going to be taking with me those who join me. I'm going to be sharing with you my pure magic, which only got downloaded last year, which is the pre-birth influences, pre-birth and early life influences decoding. And that's going to form the basis of us activating the next level of our soul mission, soul purpose, integrating the shadow elements of our masculine and feminine, so we can truly be of service to the world through quietening the mind, so we can truly hear the soul through our hearts. It's going to be an absolutely amazing retreat. And I only do one-offs, by the way. It's not something I do again next year or the year after. They're always different because this is the most recent codes that come through. If you would like to participate, please let me know ASAP. So get in touch. I'll put the link to all the details in the text box below. Please just have a look. The invitation has all the details of what we're actually going to be covering. There's some videos you can check out, see if it's for you. But essentially, that is for those of you who want to do some deep work in a very short period of time. Please don't feel like you're going to be run ragged. You're going to be receiving all the Paradise Earth codes for yourself and for the land beneath us. And I promise you, it's going to be amazing. So if you feel like you'd like to join me for that, please do. If you'd like to join me for the masterclass on Tuesday, that's the 21st, 7:30 p.m. GMT, link is below. And also if you'd like to join me for the free light language transmission, which is to germinate, but it's with the cosmic fertilizer to help germinate your seeds that you planted as intentions for the new year and this year, that will be Monday. All right, my love. So that's Monday the 20th at 5:55 p.m. GMT. If you're in the US, it's like 5 or 6 or 7 hours before. And obviously, if you're in Australia and New Zealand, it's going to be several hours later. Just check out where you are. And Europe is an hour ahead of the time that I'm talking about. I love you. You're amazing. Make the most of this and know that with 2 new moons in Aries, it's like fire energy. It's the start of the astrological year. Come on, let's do it. And just in case you sat back a little too much with the March new moon, you're going to get another wallet in April on the 19th, which is going to be when you're like, come on, you really need to do this. So fire in your belly, passion for change. Everything with this equinox energy now is to drive us forward, to show us where we want to be, where we are, where we want to be, what's in the way. All you have to do is step forward and say yes. And if you're like, not sure about what level this woman works at, let me tell you this. First of all, people typically have worked on themselves for a good 15 to 20 years before they're going to really benefit from working with me, unless they've had a massive download come in and they've had a huge activation. 2, they will have worked a lot on themselves, as in done everything they possibly can on their own to clear the stuff in their lives, to clear the issues, to clear the early life conditioning, the trauma they've inherited. But they've got to the point that they know they cannot do the next bit on their own, because we get to a certain point that we have blind spots that only others who've already been through what we've been through can help us to see with love and compassion. That was when I first reached out to my teachers, and particularly Susanna Kennedy, and then this brought on the other coaches that I started to work with. And if you're going to be a leader, you've got to be held in check. You've got to hold yourself in check and have others reveal to you where you're out of balance. Otherwise, the abuse of power comes as no surprise. So I work with business leaders. I work with soul business leaders. I work with creatives who want to bring soul-led creations to this world, particularly the entertainment industry, whether it's an album, whether it's a TV series, whether it's a documentary or a blockbuster movie. It's really important to remember you can be led by your ego programming, your pain body, or you can be led by your soul, by your higher self, and you can create something amazing. Watch out for those amazing A-listers who on the one hand do beautiful, beautiful movies, and on the other hand do a whole load of thrillers and scary stuff. They're as much in their shadow as they're in their light, and they're the people I work with the most to get them fully in their light, because there's debris that needs to be cleared up. All right. And finally, it's not actually a failure to need help, to ask for help. I had to learn that. Asking for help requires being vulnerable and actually being really courageous. And it's a level of mastery that you get to when you realize, wow, I don't have the program for this. I need to actually get it from someone who does. So if that's sounding like you know what to do. Get in touch. I'll put my call link there for you as well, and my websites for you to check out. I love you. You are amazing. Remember to join the StarPeace Facebook group. That's where all my activation stuff is. For now, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Enjoy the energies that are coming. So exciting that we're in the equinox. I'm very happy about it. And let the purge occur. Have a sense of humor. Remember that if you can learn to love your shadow through those that show up in your life, and with a sense of humor, with compassion and forgiveness, you'll see where your misalignments are. You just have to bring those aspects into you, forgive, discern, move on. All right. Love you lots. Take care for now. Bye-bye.